All right, let's take that question to our panelists this evening. Joining me, Rajat Sethi, political commentator, Rashid Kidwai, author, political analyst, Dr. Ranjana Kumari, director of the Center for Social Research. Rajat Sethi, to come to you, with at least, whatever came out of that meeting yesterday with the Prime Minister and NDA leaders, the Prime Minister specifically for 5 minutes spoke of leaders not speaking or should not be speaking out of turn. He spoke of party discipline. He spoke that loose talk will not be entertained. He's made it clear, and it's not the first time. It's happened earlier in the past as well. But with no concrete action on these ministers, clearly seem to suggest that they're going to get away with it.
Well, Preeti ji, let me give you my understanding of how Prime Minister Modi, what I have seen from a distance, and how I interpret his remarks. Whenever he feels that the Rubicon is crossed, he ensures that a penal action is given to the concerned leader of the party. Of course, he cannot control the NDA leaders, NDA members. That is for their respective parties. But look at Sadhvi Pragya. She made a remark on Godse, and she was not given the ticket. Similarly, look at what happened when a few leaders who spoke out of turn on constitution around the 2024 election, they lost out on even being able to contest again. Case in point was Mysore member of parliament. So Prime Minister Modi's word has follow-on actions. The actions would be determined by him, but things register in his mind. And this is why I believe, and I've said this earlier on your show also, that while we need to create an education or perhaps a training of all political parties and all the leaders who are there in public life, because none of these people come with a level of grooming that is needed when a camera or a mic is thrusted before them and they speak whatever comes to their mind. One method is going in for this training. The other method possibly could be that most of these leaders tend to apologize and apologize genuinely. The real problem comes in when they're habitual offenders, so to say. And if they are, they need to be shown the door. And none other than BJP knows this. It is Prime Minister's effort that he's been able to, connect the entire country, weave together the entire country behind during Operation Sindoor. And therefore, it comes at a huge cost to him also and his efforts. When loudmouths like these three individuals that you mentioned go out and scuttle his efforts. So I believe when Prime Minister gives a message, there is a follow-on action. That action happens where it hurts these offenders the most, and it will happen. Therefore, okay. I'll pause here, and I have more details to share, which I can do that later.
Okay, fair point, Rajat. But you talk about how habitual offenders should be shown the door. Well, one of the habitual offenders here is no one else but Vijay Shah, the Tribal Affairs Minister of Madhya Pradesh, 2013. He was thrown out of the party primarily because he said something highly unsavory against the then Chief Minister, Shivraj Singh Chauhan's wife, and was later actually re-inducted, primarily because he's a six-time party MLA, represents the strong 27% tribal population of Madhya Pradesh, therefore making him politically irreplaceable where Madhya Pradesh politics is concerned. But I'll circle back to you with that. Rashid Kidwai, I want to bring you in with what Rajat Sethi said, that action will be taken. It doesn't necessarily need to follow the contours of what the opposition demands, but is immediate action.
Preeti, I think my friend Rajat Sethi is being generous, extremely generous. There is nothing that can justify that what happened. There are no concrete actions. He is just merely putting some, coincidence, pure coincidence as a kind of example. Like Sadhvi Pragya, she was highly unpopular. The BJP's internal survey went against her. So there are a lot of things, and there are months and weeks and years that passed before she made that statement that a denial of ticket. And there are a lot of examples. Preeti, you and me know that people who are thriving, who were given ministerial positions at center, in state, political correctness is in short supply across party lines. I would just hold BJP example. So what happens when there is a kind of thing, as you rightly pointed out, Vijay Shah's case, they do the cost-benefit analysis. And if the cost-benefit analysis doesn't favor them, they just look the other way. There is no justification in continuation of Vijay Shah, either on moral, ethical, or any ground, but the BJP is bridging it out, and everyone looks as if, they do not know. There is no statement about Vijay Shah by any senior party functionary. So that is a long and short of it. The BJP is an election machine. It knows how to win elections, and it does cost analysis. So, Preeti, when Premchand Agarwal, a minister in Uttarakhand, makes a kind of remark about against Paharis, he is removed. But then, that is where the vote would have mattered. But anything said about or against minorities makes no difference at all, because the minorities don't vote for BJP.
All right, Rajat, would you want to, come in and weigh in on this? Because the optics are all there. Today you had Colonel Qureshi's family. We just spoke to Colonel Qureshi's family a short while ago, and they say that if the defense has no problem, the army has no problem, they are not the one to weigh in on asking for action. The country knows better. But the fact, Rajat, is that it does seem that the BJP somewhere down the line weighs it on the metrics of political gain. If it's too heavy, then they look the other way. It's happened in the past.
Well, in my first response, I did not use any whataboutery, but I'm now forced to do that. Here, a BJP has a mechanism. You have the senior most leader in Prime Minister Modi, who at least is vocal about what is being said, and he reprimands people who have said irresponsible statements. What about Congress party? Now, let me come to Rahul Gandhi straight away. He is the leader of opposition. He goes out and meets Ilhan Omar. Can there be a bigger crime of a sitting politician of any hue and color to go and meet a patently rabid Pakistani sympathizer and going and meeting? And what are the secret discussions you go out and have? That starts right from Rahul Gandhi's office. Okay. And then I'll cascade down. Look at what the chief minister of Karnataka said during the time of this Operation Sindoor. It's like, you don't have to fight. What did Mallikarjun Kharge, the president of Congress, said? He said, "Chhutput ladai." Look at what which was the leader of Maharashtra Congress Party, said. These are embarrassing statements. I mean, forget that. DK Shivkumar's own brother, he says absolutely treasonous statements. He says that South India should be separate from North India, and we don't have a problem with Pakistan at all. These are his statements. Has there been even a condemnation? Forget about any action.
But Rajat Sethi, how does any...
There is no
fair
condemnation
point.
On the highest...
But Rajat, fair point. How does any of it weigh in on action against Vijay Shah?
I told you again. I'm telling you, things started off when he's made a statement. He immediately apologized. And contrary to what his actions are, look at the Congress party's actions. I'm forced to draw comparisons here.
No, fair point.
What has Congress...
Fair point.
Again, I have come on your
let's
show,
say the Congress party's actions are unforgivable, Rajat. Let's say that.
Yes. Very
but
good.
Having said that,
Congress party is a
hear me out, sir.
anti-national party.
Hear me out. Let's say with what you are suggesting that the Congress party's actions are unforgivable. Just because Vijay Shah apologized, one should look the other way and no action should be taken?
Again, I'm repeating. Congress party is a patently anti-national party. That is part of their DNA, and you also accepted it. So thank you for that. Now, coming to Vijay Shah. Vijay Shah, if at all he has genuinely apologized, part of the mistake is addressed there. The problem is, henceforth, if the Prime Minister and the leadership to whom he would have apologized, if they see a degree of sincerity in his admission of guilt, then therefore the punishment has to be proportionate to that. And if they genuinely feel that the punishment has to be meted out, they need to do that. And by the way, let me tell you, for every utterance that a leader does, half of the parliament would be sent home. That is the track record of our members of parliament.
Okay. I want to bring in Rashid Kidwai, but number one, Rajat, who am I to give any party clean sheet or admit to where they stand? I'm a journalist and I'm going to ask questions on either sides of the divide. And therefore, how does it matter whether the top leadership thinks it's okay when the country doesn't think it passes for Vijay Shah to say what he does? And no matter how much amount of apology that he might dispense will not somewhere down the line be acceptable. And I hope you will accept that it's not acceptable. But I want to bring in Rashid Kidwai into this conversation. Rashid Kidwai, politically speaking, there is a point that Rajat Sethi makes that it's a tad bit rich coming in from the Congress.
Yeah. So, Preeti, are we to take it that for Mr. Rajat Sethi and entire BJP ecosystem, the Congress is a role model? Whatever Congress does or doesn't do is something that the BJP would follow. I assume, and I have reasons to believe, the BJP has its own benchmark and its own standards in propriety in public life. It doesn't have to look at the Congress. It doesn't look at Rahul as a exemplary citizen or a leader, and when it comes to public speaking. Preeti, in case of Vijay Shah, the courts took cognizance, the media took cognizance, people took a note. What about the BJP's disciplinary committee? State, there's the chief minister, there's the prime minister, there's the BJP president, and not a word from any of these quarters. So what I'm saying is, whatever Mr. Sethi may come up with that defense, it is insufficient, inadequate, and it doesn't cover any kind of ground, because the BJP, not in just in this case, the thousand examples can be given from as you're showing, Goli Maro Salo ko, or all kind of pronouncements have been made, which are atrocious, which are unconstitutional, which are politically incorrect. The BJP has a getaway because they know they can get away. Preeti, I'm telling you, even Congress included, all political parties, leaders, they make remarks because end of the day, they know they can get away. They know they have lawyers, they'll get a bail, and they'll get public sympathy, popularity. Political correctness is in short supply, and the BJP knows, and it is exploiting it.
Well, it cuts both ways, Mr. Kidwai. Okay, final comments. Rajat Sethi, please go ahead.
Well, I personally am of the view that the public discourse in our country has to be on an upward trajectory. That also demands that we have educated members getting into elected offices and occupying those offices with some degree of grace. But the real problem comes in when you need to, when you start looking at members of parliament who are educated and who still get onto that slippery slope of being motor mouths and doing all kinds of things which bring a shame to our nation. Right from Rahul Gandhi, who, when he visited Ilan Umar, when he connives with George Soros, it brings huge disrepute. And so goes with Mr. Shah. If he has made a statement out of a slip of tongue, I again say he should be pardoned. But if it was out of a willful mistake, deliberately doing that, he should be punished. That is my position on this.
Okay. Well, the fact is he's made it one too many times, and he's always seemed to be getting away with it. And I think it directly is in proportion with the political clout he enjoys in Madhya Pradesh. Because if you can get away with what you said about the chief minister's wife at that point of time, you were thrown out, only to be reinducted again. But I want to, go to Dr. Ranjana Kumari as well, director of the Center for Social Research. She's with us. Dr. Kumari, one quick comment, ma'am. We've got you a little late. The debate's going to close. But the Prime Minister has made it very clear that all of this is loose talk and none of the leaders should actually indulge in it. So there's an advisory which has gone off from the Prime Minister. But do you think it will carry any weight until and unless there's actual tangible action which is taken against these leaders on ground? Because till now, nothing has happened.
Well, Preeti, we know that time and again, I can quote many, and I'm sure in the program you've quoted all these statements that leadership makes, and not just some new member of the party, but people who have been 8 times MP, especially Vijay Shah, and a minister in a state government. If making such a statement should not be taken lightly, we have all objected to it. We have protested against it. And I think just by giving a warning is a kind of, it's just a lip service. It doesn't really help because these people are habitual defaulters and nothing serious happens. And they know there is no consequence. Because what these people bring to party is the seat that they win and also the vote. And that's what matters. That's all that matters to political parties. They don't consider women's dignity. They don't consider any other kind of, support that, people don't matter. What matters is when it comes to vote and their exercising of the power. So I don't see that there is any serious consequence of such a remark going to be, because soon you will hear something else. And then again, we'll all get together and start expressing our unhappiness, anger, our surprise, shock to such kind of statements. So I think there has to be a clear SOP or such clear guidelines issued by the political parties to all their cadre to tell them to be within their limits, not one-off statement. That doesn't help at all. So that, and also the moment they will cross that boundary that has been told to them or given to them, they will be thrown out of the party. I mean,
Dr. Kumari, what do you make of the approach? Because, there is a suggestion that action would be taken, but it doesn't have to follow the contours of what the opposition demands or immediate action. Do you believe that ultimately if action is taken against these leaders over time, and the BJP or the government doesn't necessarily have to bend to what the opposition is seemingly demanding right now, but action taken in the course of time? Or do you think in times like this, it needs to be seen that you take strong action and you take immediate action and you make examples of people who use language such as this?
The actions has to be taken and has seen to be taken. Action, as you rightly said, it cannot be just saying that we will take an action and finally they know that people, it will go out of people's mind. Memories are short. For as far as public life is concerned, all kinds of things they get away with, including rape. I mean, you can imagine how serious offense they have committed and still they have got away with that. So I think that's what is there in the mind of politicians. Prime Minister saying something like that should mean to every one of them that they are crossing the boundary. Should mean to them that this is not acceptable. Should mean to them that what they have done, that itself prove that the Prime Minister of India has to get up and say that please, don't issue this kind of statements and don't cross boundaries. So that means that it is really serious offense, and they must be, especially in case of Vijay Shah. And he's made this statement in such a time for such an officer that it is completely, bizarre. It's completely unheard of. It's completely unacceptable, shameful. As strongest word as we can condemn, we condemn it. And I remember in the previous program with you, this was everybody's opinion that this person needs to be immediately punished.
Right.
But look at the way things are going on and on and on, and still we will hear that they get scot-free by just a kind of apology, which doesn't mean to them at all. They don't mean, yeah.
All right, I appreciate all three of you for joining us.